Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. It's Football at 4.
Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, and it is brought to you locally by Caesars Entertainment Group of Atlantic City. Come experience the ultimate sports destinations all season long. Wild Wild West, Tropicana, Harrah's Resort Atlantic City. Book your game day experience today at Caesars.com. Adam Caplan is here today as we look at the Eagles and the Chargers after a 44-6 victory by the Birds. Positive vibes, I would imagine, over at the NovaCare complex. Adam?
Yeah, it is. It's Mike, good to be with you. Yeah, no doubt. They have to feel good about everything. You could just tell by the coordinators. There's a little bit of smile in their face. Talking to some agents who have players in the Eagles, they seem to be they seem to be happy. Not only that, they just have responded to the game plan from last week. As we talked about in today's Inside the Bird show, we actually also dropped a special show. Jeff Mosher and I did a sort of 35-minute plus retrospective of the first half and gave out our midseason awards and our disappointments. But what had to be so impressive was the Eagles' offensive line play. Best I've seen in 2 years. It's funny. They just went in. It's kind of like the coaches, Mike, knew that they could go into last week's game and kick the butts of the Lions' defensive line. And they went and did it. You don't see that very much in the NFL, but they sure as heck did it.
Do they repeat it? Do they feel like they can watch that tape and kind of reenact what they did last week? Because that's the verbiage I've been getting all week long is you got one of the worst rush defenses, and the Eagles have a line that should be able to win at the point of attack again.
Yeah, so the Chargers gave up 5.2 yards per carry to opposing running backs. But I know Brandon Staley, their head coach, bristled at that. He brought up certain situations that happened earlier in the season. They just got back one of their best run-stopping defensive tackles last week in Justin Jones, and they were better against the run against the Patriots. But in the end, yeah, the blueprint should be to mix the run in. They're not going to come – I don't see them coming out and running the ball like they did. Versus they're facing a much better defense, much better front seven. And – by the way, the Chargers run a different front. They both Lions and Chargers run a 34, but their 34 is different than Aaron Glenn's 34. Not all 34s are the same. Responsibilities are different, and they're more stout against the run. So I do expect the Eagles to try to run the ball, but it won't be anywhere near as last week. And you're going to have to make some plays in the pass game where it's a little bit harder because the Chargers have a pretty good secondary.
Yeah, well, I know that they ran it, 46, 8 times, something to that extent. I don't know that Eagles fans, Adam, are asking for that volume of rushing, but where would you kind of hope to see Nick Sirianni kind of have them, to keep the game? You want to keep Herbert off the field. That's obviously they have had challenges defensively against these quarterbacks who can make plays by themselves. Herbert can do it with his arm, and he's got a good assortment of receivers. So keep them off the field, run the ball, right? How many times? What's the number you're looking at?
Right. I don't look at a number. I look at it, what's the best way to win? I call it mixing in the run. That you have to score. Like playing keep away doesn't work. You have to score because they're going to get the ball. When they get the ball, your defense has to stop them. So what you have to do is have a plan to use your talent in the best way possible. The good thing is in their injury report, Jalen Reagor is going to play. We were told that on Monday he started rehabbing his ankle with the belief that he'd be able to play, and credit to him, he's going to be able to play in this game. Yes, I love the way they used Reagor before he hurt his ankle, Mike. I love that. So to me, there's a way you can win. Yeah, you can run the ball, as you were suggesting, but running it, not that they're going to run it 30 times.
Right.
I just call it mixing in the run. You could still you can still pass the ball 65% in the first half or 60%, but don't ignore if Jordan Howard is added back from the practice squad. He reverted to the practice squad on Monday. Don't ignore the backs. Their line absolutely dominated. I'm sure they had the offensive linemen had fun. You could just see it, watch the coaching tape. They were getting off the football, but use your pass targets. Use another one, Dallas Goedert. The Chargers have had like 5 bad games against tight ends. You know what? Go ahead and guess Dallas Goedert, who's coming off 2 monster games, averaging what Mosher said on our show that we did today, 50 yards per catch. Then guess what? There's a blueprint. Get this guy the football.
Adam, it's a marathon, not a sprint. If you run the ball and it's successful a couple of weeks in a row, that should open up your ability to do what you want to do more somewhere down the line, which is pass the ball. And I love that you brought up Goddard, because without Ertz, he has really opened up and become a much bigger part, a much bigger play guy in this offense. And then, of course, you have Jalen Hurts and the role that they're going to ask him to play this week against a secondary that plays a lot of zone this week. So, hey, Jalen Hurts, can you just pitch and catch and let your playmakers make the plays?
Yeah, they mix their coverages up. They'll disguise. Brandon Staley, defense coordinator, comes from the Vic Fangio school. That's his mentor. We work with the Bears and then the Broncos before he became the head coach of the Chargers. So they'll do some things to throw Hurts off. Yeah, you can expect that, like most teams are doing against him. I'm interested to see what their coverage will be. And we just talked about Goddard. Then consequently, what the Eagles' coverages will be defensively against that Charger receiver corps, which is one of the best in the National Football League.
We're talking with Adam Caplan, football at 4 here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. They didn't just run the ball with success last week, Adam. They tweaked their defense a little bit, and we saw them, dominate up front. 6 sacks. What were some of the things they did defensively that maybe they tweaked a little bit that might carry over, the rest of this season?
A couple things. They're playing a little bit more man coverage. Now, the Eagles still are playing the most zone coverage in the National Football League by far. But they're still, the last, I'd say 3 weeks, they're doing a little bit more man coverage. And here's the big thing. They're using more disguise. We've asked for this. We saw it in training camp. We saw it in week 1, and then it seemed to go away for 5 weeks. And then Gannon, he didn't do it against the Raiders, but he sure as heck did it last Sunday. Jared Goff held on to the ball just like Matt Ryan did. And it sure worked. And that led, when you make the quarterback call on the football, you're going to get pressure on him. And they got the Goff, as you said. This quarterback's pretty athletic. It won't be easy, but you have to disguise, make him hold on the football a little bit.
Yeah, 6 sacks last week, Adam, 12 quarterback hits. Goff had a rough day at the office, and one of the reasons is Atlanta doesn't either, but Detroit does not have a very good offensive line. How is the Chargers' offensive line? Are they equipped against this Eagles, active group up front? Sweat looks like he's kind of hitting his stride. Milton Williams got the game ball. They've added snaps to his ledger. We know Hargrave has had a really good season. Even Barnett got to the quarterback last week. So what's that matchup look like?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Mike, with that matchup, the big thing to me is the right side of the Chargers offensive line, which is weak. They're starting 2 backups. Schofield, the guard, right tackle Storm Norton, one of my favorite names in the NFL, against Josh Sweat and the left side and Hargrave. They have a distinct advantage, and they've got to take care of it. And that's where they can win and make Justin Herbert get rid of the football. That is absolutely 1,000% the key to this game. If they do not get pressure on that side, they are going to lose. And they're going to give up 30 points or more. If they pressure off the right side, this could be a very interesting game. And by the way, weather in the low 50s, very little wind. So you don't have to worry about weather this time of year. You start worrying about that with wind in November, but you don't have to worry about that at the Link on Sunday.
Adam, one area, too, you talk about disguising the coverages and doing some things with your secondary. Steve Nelson, Slay, they got maybe the best group of guys that they've seen all year, if not for a while anyway. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, both physical guys. Guyton's a burner, so they're going to be challenged. How does John Gannon utilize his corners this week against those, against the Chargers wideouts?
Here's the question, and I know this is what a lot of people, they actually asked me this on Twitter, what I think is going to happen. It's hard to know that 1,000%, and because the Eagles play so little man coverage, you could play zone, but the problem is when you play zone, then you start attacking Steve Nelson, because you talked about him. The Chargers historically, and it's the same thing this year, they have the tallest pass targets in the league. They don't have a receivers under 6'1". The Chargers have a tight end, Donald Parham Jr., 6'8". I saw him dominate in training camp when I was there for 2 days in L.A. I do worry about the Eagles' corners. Maddox at 5'9", Nelson at 5'10", Slay's 6 foot. So the question is, do they play a little bit more man coverage? Do they have them? Do they play man sides? Do they travel? With Slay on Mike Williams last year, Darius Slay struggled against Metcalf, who's a big receiver. The matchups aren't very good for the Eagles. That, to me, is where the Chargers can make their money in this game. So I do worry about it. It's a very good question. I can't answer that because I don't know. Nobody knows what the right way to do it is. Any way they do it, the Chargers are going to take advantage of the matchups. But to me, I personally would play a little bit more man, put Slay on Mike Williams because they will go deep. Now, what I don't want them to do is start playing that bad defense again where the safeties are in the next county and giving up all those in-breakers because that's what Keenan Allen will kill them if they do that.
Yeah, and then, of course, it's not last week, Atlanta had a very good tight end, and typically they throw the ball to the backs out of their backfield. They don't have great outside guys. This team has good outside guys, but they also have Eckler, who's a handful, and Jared Cook, who's a very athletic tight end. The Eagles made a tweak at linebacker. They released Eric Wilson this week. They're going to go with T.J. Edwards. And who is really going to be that next guy? Is that going to be Davion Taylor getting most of the snaps as the second guy?
Yeah, so what we reported 2 weeks ago wound up happening. So they were going to I think prior to last week's game, we had said on our pregame show that what we're hearing is Wilson will either be inactive or play very little. They're going to go towards T.J. Edwards, Davion Taylor. They want to get a look at Taylor. They're not punting on the season. They still have a very good shot at the wild card. It's got to start winning at home at 0-3. But they want to take a look at Davion Taylor. He can be a very big liability in coverage. He's not there yet. What I'm told is it's his eye discipline. He doesn't have a good eye discipline.